Good evening, Mike. How are you doing?
Good evening, Ash. I am very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. So for this episode, this is our monthly Paranormal Roundtable with me, Shoot the Paranormal, Mike from the ParaMike YouTube and Facebook.
Do you have to say it like a Scouser? ParaMike.
ParaMike. And I've also got Michaela from the Paranormal or What podcast.
You do it so well. It's like you're from near the area, Ash.
I'm nearly from Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fake Mank.
I saw something recently where they were saying Warrington. It doesn't know whether it's Liverpool or Manchester. And I was like, I know someone from Warrington.
Yeah, kind of. Depends like which half of Warrington you're from. It's like if you're from like the north, it's like Liverpool. If you're from like the east, it's like Manchester.
Manchester.
just to emphasise, Manchester.
Do you have to do the accent for whichever like part of the country you're talking about?
Liverpool or Manchester.
Brilliant. How have you been? It's been effing forever since we've done one of these or spoken to each other, dude.
Yeah, no, it does seem like that. And Michaela will be joining us very shortly. She's stuffing her face with chips.
I was going to say, in typical northerner fashion, she's just having a tea.
Foot chippy.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll love us telling everyone that she's having
some chips. Yeah. No Babby's head this time, or whatever it was.
Evening, Nick. Good to see you, Nick. I don't think I've watched you for a little while. Cheers for
Hey Nick, hope you're well, dude.
Dropping by. Ever present, Nick. So that's good to see. So yeah, just while we sort of wait for a few more people to come in, put any questions, whatever, throughout the live in the chat, we'll get to them. Please share the page, share video, whatever, give us a like, say hello so we know you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
Got a few topics we talk about tonight. Like we do a monthly roundtable where we talk about different topics, so what's been happening. So today it's going to just be like a normal Paranormal roundtable, just we are recording it live so we can sort of have some interaction and questions from the listeners as well. So we're going to be talking about some paranormal equipment, what we use, what we think's best, different ideas around that. Then we're going to take a trip to the spooky Cannock chase. Some we spoke about on the podcast before, but with the many different stories of things going on and experiences that we personally had or I have there. It's always good to revisit the chase as it is. And then
no sign of Bradley Walsh on that one either. So
yeah, it's better than that. Better than that chase.
Yeah.
And then we will talk about kind of some stuff that we've got coming up, some investigations and work coming up that we're doing.
Hello,
Elaine. First time here.
Hello, Elaine. Hello. Welcome along.
Yeah, cheers for checking us out. Oh, messing around with the buttons.
Oh, that's much better. You can see much more of us now. We don't look like two giant.
Yeah, no, I think we need to zoom into the screen.
Absolutely. You can see all the weird shit in my room set up for the whole YouTube studio sort of thing as well.
Nice UFO pillow in the.
I thought you'd appreciate that
in the background there. Yeah, definitely. Just when you prepare everything and then nothing's there.
Yep. So as Ash says, we're going to discuss a couple of topics tonight. If you guys have any questions whatsoever at any point, pop them in the chat. I've got the live up monitoring the chat as well, just in case other people don't see it. But we're more than willing to answer any questions that you have about the paranormal or about us or anything really. Valentine's Day is coming up. We might be able to give you some relationship advice. So
and it's also Pancake Day tomorrow.
Tomorrow is it?
I'm probably better at the tomorrow. So I'm probably better at the pancake making advice.
Flour and water is not difficult, isn't it? I imagine that a relationship's a bit more complex than fucking flour and water.
You just get a bottle, you put milk in it, shake it.
Yeah. You just
pour that on the frying pan.
Squirt it in and you're good to go, yeah. Which could double up as relationship advice as well. Anyway, it's a paranormal equipment, Ash. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah.
What have you got?
So I have pretty basic stuff. A couple of what you'd call a K2 meter. Pretty basic. Did have it with me. I was playing with it.
Just a Monday evening activity for Ash is just to play with his computer, you know.
Yeah, so K2 meter. One of my favorite things to have is just a voice recorder. Just having that on so you can capture any EVPs. Something I've got which I've not used. Got these as a Christmas present. For 1,000 watts.
Okay, cool.
There's quite a bit of thingy around them. Never used them before. I've never had a chance to try them out. So yeah, looking forward to using them. Again, basic stuff like a video camera, night vision camera. Make sure you got a good infrared light on there.
Absolutely. Because otherwise you won't capture anything. I remember when I got my first IR camera for the YouTube channel, and I had a really crappy eye. In fact, I don't think I had an IR light. I was trying to rely on the one in the camera, and it just doesn't emit enough light. Doesn't bounce off anything. So
no,
it looks like you're filming everything in a tunnel sort of thing.
Yep, definitely. Oh, Michaela is here.
Excellent. Let's get her opinions on paranormal shit.
How are your chips, Michaela?
Hello, Michaela. Yeah. You are muted, Michaela. I assume you mean you had to put makeup on.
Might be the button on your headset.
Yeah. Dowsing rods, yeah. I've got a weird relationship with dowsing rods because although I'm kind of quite...
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It's my big sausage fingers that had pressed it before I went on.
Dowsing rods, although where they're a practical method, and I'm kind of against practical methods on the whole, because of everything we've discussed for idiomotor effects, subconscious influencing, we've had some very odd things happen with dowsing rods that are like, it's a yes or no answer, but we've still had some odd things happen with them. Okay. Is he getting them out?
I don't know. I've realised that I haven't got the same background as I normally have, so therefore you can see my washing. So I do apologise to everybody for that.
That's all right. I've already explained all my weird YouTube. Where are we?
Well, at least yours is interesting. Mine's
YouTube
just
shit on the table.
general household crap.
That's fine.
Well, I still got Christmas decorations up.
Mate, what?
You know, it's unlucky.
It's not even me, it's Jamie's.
I
have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with it.
Is he a big fan of Christmas and just doesn't want to take it down?
I don't know. I just sort of wanting to buy something. I thought you can have that, buy that wreath, whatever it is, and stick it up and do what you want. As we're talking about dowsing rods, I thought I'd just show mine just in case people weren't sure what we were talking about. They're basically two metal sticks that are used to find water, allegedly. Like, if you're looking for water somewhere, they will lead you to water, and when they cross over, and that means you're near water. Something like that. That's like the apparent original use. But you can also use them to communicate with the dead, allegedly, or a spirit.
I think in a lot of instances, whenever I've used them, it's like tapping, where you sort of define crossed is yes, no is open before you start the session, and then go from there. Yeah, I'd say I don't necessarily believe in them, but we've had some very weird experiences with them. Talking of Christmas presents, I got a gorgeous little REM pod for Christmas.
Nice.
That's very nice.
Yeah, that's going to go mental, but also got a temperature gauge in it. And me being me, I immediately got the screwdriver out, opened the back of it, and went, "How does this fucking work?" And then subsequently found out how it worked.
So different to me. I just dust it and go, "Doesn't it look nice and shiny?"
Found out how it worked and made my own.
And there's a cool video on the ParaMike YouTube.
There is, yeah.
Build your own REM
which
pod.
is blinding, but very similar.
Wasn't the person who bought it for you a bit miffed that you'd then made your own one?
Patsy knows exactly what I'm like, honestly. I was like, straight, like within seconds, had the back off it going, How does this work? Oh, okay. I recognize that chip. Quick Google search went, oh yeah, I can make this a lot cheaper.
Yeah, because they're not cheap. I mean, like the sort of standard ones, looking around £100 for like the kind of traditional one that you see. Like
they can be like up to 200-300. Nick Thompson saying, but Michaela, with the spooky goings on in your house, some of your washing might suddenly disappear.
Well, if it does, we'll get it on fucking camera this time. I'll tell you about my... obviously, Nick knows what's been going on in my kitchen. Well, actually, nobody knows what's been going on in my kitchen because it doesn't come on the camera. But we'll talk about that later.
But yeah, Ash is right. Like the proper full up, the original REM pod, the big circular one with the 4 humongous LEDs in it, easily a couple of £100 for one of those. And I like to take a view of the paranormal that none of the equipment is actually tested. So in some instances, I refuse to pay that much money. Hence why I'll take the back off stuff, see how it works, go, I could build that cheaper. Like, for instance, the little REM pod I just showed you, I built for £40 odd. And that's not even as cheap as you can build it. You can build them for literally like £18 or something if you use the original case. It's crazy. Like, because you think about the markup. And it's just like, fucking hell, these guys are making so much money off of stuff that's unproven.
Yeah, and the technology behind it is pretty basic. Like, pretty basic stuff you're actually using inside it.
It's a doorbell.
I had one made for me. And it's basically, it consists of wires, lights, and a lot of black gaffer tape.
Yeah.
And I've had it for several years now, and I just get more gaffer tape when it falls apart and stick it back on. But it's really good.
Exactly that. They're all... A lot of the equipment is very, very rudimentary. And as I say, the internals for the REM pod that I built is like £14 or something. And although it's got a temperature gauge in it, the one that I got for Christmas was 60. And it's like markup on that. And admittedly, there's cost of box and stuff like that, but they're still making money off it. And as I say, I just, me being me, I'll take the back off something, have a look, and see if I can work out how it works, or find a video on YouTube and then make my own video on YouTube of how to make it.
Definitely. I mean, £60 not too bad. Actually, compared to the cost of some of them, I'm doing effectively the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it can be an expensive hobby. Definitely this topic. So any way of keeping that cost down. I mean, there's so much equipment I want to get, but you just like spirit boxes and everything else. I was surprised. You think it's a radio, literally, is all it is. But it's hundreds of pounds to get one. It's crazy.
I mean, speaking of, I built a white noise box of sorts, trying to be akin to Danny Moss's Intravox. That pumps out white noise, and essentially it's like the spirit box sound sort of thing, but it doesn't have any radio in it. I built or made the white noise patches myself, and then this was actually the basis of the app I was building. That
I actually got that on my phone. That app
didn't go very well, and the person designing it, my brother, has decided not to actually update it or anything. So I was like, fuck's sake, it's not going to work in that sense. So I spent a lot of time and money building a sort of portable box that I could put these white noise patches onto an SD card and play them when we go to investigations. And then last week I happened across this, which is a spirit box by Appy Droid. And this has actually got an SD card in the top of it. So very quickly I was like, hang on a minute.
You can record it.
No, but I can play my own white noise patches through this rather than have this big chunky box that I made and is a bit fucking janky. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's amazing. In terms of spirit boxes, the sound of it's nowhere near as harsh as the normal ones. Apparently it's something to do with it being analog rather than digital. And yeah, £50 compared to like the hundreds you'll pay for other ones. And even that, I emailed him and he was like, oh, PayPal me it and it'll be less than that, like 40, 45. And I was like, no, because he originally had them on, I think, eBay, and he was saying eBay fees, they'll be £50. And I was like, nah, dude, like £50 cheap enough. And like you deserve it sort of thing. We're all trying to help each other along sort of thing. But yeah, £50 for a spirit box that's also got the ability to play MP3s and stuff out for it. I was just like, what the fuck? Compared to the big ones, and all he does is buys these little radios from China, I think, or buys them from somewhere and then modifies them a little bit, and that's it.
Would be good. I mean, the sort of recording feature is something that would be good to have on a spirit box, to be able to, especially when doing the Esters, to be able to listen back, like other people to listen back and see sort of words coming through and match up, stuff like that. Go on, mate. Tell me you create a spirit box.
I was going to bring all my stuff down as well, and now I forgot.
So the S box, the other spirit box that I have, that I've had for ages, again, has got an SD card port in it. This one isn't for playing sounds, but this one is for recording the sessions.
Okay.
So you can do it with this one. This one's a little bit more expensive. It's got some nicer features on it, like you can go in reverse, or it's got a torch on it for some reason, and you can use it as a Bluetooth speaker and things like that. But yeah, that's got this functionality.
That's good.
Mark Parsons says, "What got you all into the paranormal?" Michaela, I've spoken enough, mate. You can take this one at first.
Just before I go on to that, I just wanted to say I spent a lot of money on an SB11 a couple of years ago, and it didn't work for me whatsoever. I mean, the actual thing worked, but I didn't get anything through it. So I traded it. It cost me £200 and something. It was really expensive. I sold it for about 170, and for about half that price, I bought an SB7, which has been so much better. And sometimes I think you can get better results the cheaper it is. Sometimes
it's a really funny one. Like the SB7s and the SB11s are seen as the really good spirit boxes. The SB7 in particular, I think, because it's a bit cheaper. That's the one that the vast majority of paranormal investigators go for. The SB11 is a funny one because although it's got all these fancy features, like you can play dual channel and you can have one going in reverse and one going in forward and one on FM and one on AM at the same time. The biggest issue is with audio pareidolia being what it is, that then potentially just muddies things up even more. So potentially it's harder to hear things, or there's more chance for audio pareidolia, or more chance for interference and stuff like that. So they seem like a great bit of kit, and I've wanted one for quite a while. But then the more time goes on, and the more I think about it, I go, well, it's £250 odd for a spirit box. And is it any better than any other spirit box out there? Probably not.
Yeah. So I feel like I've said so many times in the last few weeks how I got into the paranormal, and I feel like I might be boring some people. So I'll say the short version. So my very first thing sounds way, way, way out. But when I was a tiny little child, I flew down the stairs at home, and I was about between 2 and 3. And I jumped off the top of the stairs. I lived at my nana and granddad's house. And I remember being put down at the bottom of the stairs really gently. And I went and knocked on the living room door, and everybody was aghast because I wasn't allowed to come down the stairs by myself, never mind at 10 o'clock at night. And I still have this really vivid sensation of flying and then being put down. Now, make of that what you will. Move on. I was 9 years old, and a lot of children in my school and myself had this experience of seeing 3 hooded figures in the school field, well, next to the school field. And then 20 years later, I met somebody else from the same village who verified that she's seen them as well, which was a real moment for me because it wasn't just one thing that happened years ago. Someone verified it 20 years later. And that when I was about 20, that's when I really started getting into it. And I lived in a haunted house when I was a student in Hull. And we had lots and lots of experiences in that house, loads of experiences. So I just became obsessed after that. How about you, Ash?
I'll go with mine. Evening,
Hey,
Adi. Thanks for joining us. I think we've all spoke with the Alien twins. Part to investigate.
I've only spoke to 1/4 of to investigate, but carry on.
Yeah, so I mean, mine started more UFO. I'm more of a UFO guy. We had a UFO sighting in 1997. I was 10 years old. That kind of led to growing up being hugely interested in UFOs, and that kind of just expanded into ghosts, Loch Ness Monster, that type of stuff. And then about 5, 6, bloody hell, maybe 7 years ago now. Time goes so fast. Like, I had a weird ghost experience in a pub in Cheshire. It's kind of where I know for a fact that I had a ghost or spirit or some kind of being next to me in this pub. And that just opened up to the whole, let's go more into the paranormal as well as the UFO type of field. So it's kind of grown on from there. But yeah, mainly UFOs, but still, hopefully, especially this year, and we'll talk about it in a bit more, doing a lot more paranormal stuff this year with some of the stuff that I've got planned coming up. So yeah, that's me, Mike.
Much like Michaela, I feel like I told this story thousands of times, so I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. Up to about 3 years ago in 2021, I didn't believe in any of this. I thought it was all bullshit. I thought the people were basically delusional. Patsy, my fiance, dragged me along to a ghost hunt unwillingly, and there were some things that happened that I couldn't explain. And me being a very logical and I guess more to the point obsessive person, I was like, what just happened? And that sent me down the rabbit hole. And much like taking the backs off of REM pods the minute I get them, I've just fallen into it, and it's consumed quite a large amount of my life for the past 3 years, which isn't a negative, by the way, because I've met some fantastic people through it, and it's been very enjoyable up to this point. And again, like, we've been on investigations and had some mad things happen that Mike of 2020, 2021 would have just gone nah, and just not even entertained the idea that it could have been paranormal or that it could be ghosts or whatever, you know?
Yeah, like I say about sort of the meeting people in the community, like us three would have been complete strangers 2-3 years ago. Whereas now I've met Mike, Mike's met Michaela. I've not met Michaela yet, but will in person.
Soon,
but will very soon, very, very soon.
And again, that was a mad one, because when I started getting into the paranormal, I was looking for a podcast that I could listen to on the paranormal. A lot of them kind of pissed me off a little bit for various different reasons that I heard. And this isn't like me, it's me being a fanboy, let's be honest. I heard Pursuit of the Paranormal, and I was like, oh wow, I can really get on with these guys. And reaching out on Instagram for my own experiences before I know it, I'm a guest. And then a year down the line, it's a monthly thing. And as you say, we've been out investigating, Ash. Me and Michaela have met each other and are going to be investigating with each other in the future. And it's just really nice, to be honest, to meet like-minded people, even though you are all in various different parts of the country, miles away from me.
Pretty much covering the whole of England, the three of us, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AD 1/4 of to investigate. Done myself a shadow member as I'm here in the background lurking.
We like a lurker.
Nick says, talking about the equipment. What if the spirit / energy, whatever, just wants to chill and the equipment is disturbing them and they just want us to be quiet? If these experiences are even entities that can be communicated with, then it's not just a much bigger thing that we have no comprehension of.
Nick, you always have the most far-flung, out there, conscious, humongous brain questions, dude. Like, yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, no one knows anything about the paranormal. It's all theoretical. Who knows what equipment may work? Who knows what equipment does work? It could be disturbing. Are we dealing with residual or intelligent hauntings? No one knows what we're dealing with. So we're all just sort of walking around in the dark, stumbling over ourselves, seeing. Don't be sorry about it, dude. It's absolutely fine. We're all just walking around in the dark, stumbling over ourselves, and hoping that we can try and make something of what we think detects the paranormal, right?
I think that they, if they don't want to have anything to do with us, then they just don't communicate with us. I don't think they're sort of. I don't feel like they're stuck wherever they are near us. I think I'm sure that they have infinite capacity to go, oh, sod this. Who's this interfering with my wavelength or whatever? I'm off. I'm sure that we don't disturb them. I reckon that sometimes they're pleased to have anyone there. I often try to imagine what it must be like, and I've heard it described quite a lot, especially by people who have psychic or mediumistic sort of talents, that say there are certain people that are like a beacon in the dark. So almost like these entities are wandering around in a kind of half light. And then when people try and communicate them, it's like a light goes on or a beacon goes on and they're drawn towards it. I like to think of that, and that if they don't want to communicate, then they'll stay away from where all the noise is. That's just my take on it.
To compound that, and this isn't the Michael, I'm a psychic, look at me show. When we first started going on our events with an events company, seemingly a lot of activity seemed to happen around the group I was in, and more primarily me, to the point that the events company started taking the piss and calling me Mike the Ghost Whisperer. And I was like, cool, thanks.
I mean, to be fair, Mike, how often your name comes up on the Alice box?
It's mad, right? It's mad,
every
mate.
video I watch,
it's mad.
Like, it comes up, Mike or Michael. It's like
can't fake that thing. Yeah, I switched this on the other day, and I'm sure Mike came out of it within the first 2 seconds, and Patsy's going, "You going to answer that?" I was like, "Nope." Not in my house, I am.
AD says, what if these spirits are only projecting their presence when the right amount of energy is present for them to do so? They may lay dormant until we arrive and shake it up a little. Perhaps. I mean, a lot of stuff is based around kind of getting our energy up. A lot of like things like Ouija board, stuff like that, where you have to kind of warm up the board using your energy to kind of let whatever it is kind of use that to move things or affect things. So yeah, no, good point. And for me, I think go on.
Sorry, mate, I was interrupting. I think it depends on what type of energy you mean. Specifically, like jumping around, shouting, maybe not, but definitely in terms of if everyone's in a jovial mood and quite happy to have a joke, and people are telling jokes and people are laughing, that does seem to definitely have an effect on activity sometimes. The other weird one is almost when you're not actively investigating. You know what I mean? Those periods in the investigation where you're stood around just having a chat, asking Michaela how her week's been, or how the podcast is going, and then all of a sudden you start to hear things happening around you when you're not acknowledging it.
Exactly. Or when you're leaving a room, I find you leave a space that you've been investigating and you're all chatting and you're going out. And I don't know if it's a combination of the going out and the chatting, but things seem to happen behind you.
Absolutely. Also, hello, Sarah. What's the GXO flag, Ash?
Evening, Josh. Evening, Sarah. Thanks for joining us. GXO's a company I work for. Joshua is a fellow GXO.
Oh, okay.
I actually thought he had a flight. I actually got a GXO flag behind me or something.
Can I be a numpty and ask what GXO is?
A logistics company.
Oh, right.
Transport.
I feel happy with myself that I didn't know what that was then.
Miss Sarah Ainsworth is saying, I think they feed off fear. Fear is a powerful energy. I find when we are laughing or if we scare people on purpose, then things actually happen. Like Danny Moss did an entire series, right, called Project Invocation, where he deliberately put people in uncomfortable situations to try and induce fear and see if that brought on paranormal activity. I think there's definitely something in it.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing of Destination Fear, which is now Project Fear in the US. That's their whole thing, that the more scared you are, the more activity happens around you. It's quite a common theory, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I was going to say before, when you're talking about kind of the entities, whatever they are, there. If you're at a place that has, like, say, investigation booked every night, and if there's like a certain ghost or entities that are in this building, and the different people coming every night doing the same experiments, asking the same questions, it must get very boring. Think, oh, here again, I'm gonna knock twice because they've asked me to knock twice again, or stuff like that. And whether, if that is the case, where they're kind of aware that much that they might kind of play tricks, have that kind of Joker aspect to it, and they might just mess around because they're kind of bored of doing the same thing every night, and just to throw people off. It's just weird to think that if there is some kind of conscious intelligence that's talking back to like paranormal investigators, they might have that kind of aspect to it where they can have a joke with them. Like in the UFO field, there's kind of called the Joker aspect to it, where they might make themselves visible and then disappear, just like mess around with people and play games on people. And it's like a real kind of theory behind some sightings and stuff, and that kind of same stuff could be happening in
Good.
ghosts.
How about this for an idea? I've always wondered this. Do you get more activity in somewhere where people go in every single night, like the place we mustn't name, where people just go in every night, or a lot of these places that hire places out? Is that more likely to get activity, or does it kind of wear out the activity slightly? Does it use up the energy? Because sometimes, and I have to say, I've only got YouTube videos to go on by this, which is not a great thing to do. But
unless they're from ParaMike.
Well, yeah, obviously. But if you look at some of these where people go into truly derelict houses that are not normally investigated, sometimes the energy and the things that happen in those places is phenomenal and almost bordering on dangerous. So would that energy still be as violent if people went there every single day for a year? Or is it the fact that it's built up and no one's been in, and then they go in and it all bursts out? I don't know. What do you reckon?
It's a tough one. It's almost as if investigating can sometimes take away from it. Like we've just said, like sometimes if you ignore things, they start to happen. Now, if you've got like pubs, for instance, pubs are notoriously haunted, and I can only think that this is for the amount of time they've A, been standing, and B, the amount of footfall that comes through them, right? But the majority of the footfall aren't going in there going, can you give us a sign? And not actively trying to investigate, hence why things happen. And also it's probably a longer period of time where a couple of things happen rather than like a concentrated one evening sort of thing. In terms of investigations, I think that a aspect that isn't explored very often and probably should be, but a lot of people have got some very strong feelings about it, is provocation. Now, there's been instances where I've gone into places and started to get bored and basically started trying to provoke them, say like, well, fucking go on then, blah, blah. And it does seem to start stirring things up. But again, it's one of those things that a lot of people don't particularly like. And it's a tough one because you're always told to be respectful whenever you go into an alleged haunted place, right? And the least respectful thing you can do is go into someone's house and start calling them a shithead or something. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Nick Thompson's got another statement or possibly question.
Yeah, Nick says he does certainly believe that some people unconsciously have that connection, like you, Mike. So unsure what it is, but their brain is more in tune with the energy and activity. A key for the hidden lock that some people will never be able to unlock.
Yeah, I mean, I heard of it as when I was first starting to go down this path, I suppose, without wanting to sound so grandiose and wanky. That it's like playing the piano. In theory, everyone can play the piano. It's just that some people are more, I guess, naturally gifted at the piano or can pick it up easier, sort of thing. And it's that sort of thing where I guess communicating with spirits or mediumship or whatever. There's been some other stuff as well. I think Sarah's.
Yeah, I was trying to catch up with some of these comments.
Yeah, we've got Mark.
I go to Mark's one in a sec.
Yeah.
What Sarah said here. I think a lot of activity residual from the people that come investigate. Think about how many people in haunted locations knock consistently time and time again. surely those knocks stay behind. Stone tape theory, where kind of time is replaying, and is what we're hearing. The knocks we're hearing, someone that knocked a year ago in the same place, knocking. Could that be one explanation for? Especially some places like that place which I'm not named, where I've had very intelligent responses and knocks on command, stuff like that. Could that be me hearing another investigator knock 2 months ago? Possibly.
Maybe. Time replaying itself.
Yeah. Hit us with the next one, Ash.
Mark says, I've only had 2 paranormal experiences with spirits, both involving other people. One of these experiences, books flew off a bookshelf. It was a very frightening experience at the time. That's what really got me into the paranormal. I mean, yeah,
And
something like that is going to be really...
This is exactly it, right? If for some people, Mark, you might go to them and say, I was in a room and books flew off a shelf, and they'll go, yeah, of course they did, and never believe you. But because you've had that experience and you can't explain it, you're just like, well, the paranormal has to be real, right? Because it's such an experience-based field that the only way you can really get into it is having a personal experience. Because, like Michaela said, a lot of stuff on YouTube's fake. You're not there, so you're not sure what's happening behind the scenes. The only way to actually, in my opinion, properly believe in the paranormal is to have some sort of lived experience and be like, I can't explain that.
It's like my one. People could give out different theories or explanations for what happened to me in the pub. But to me, I know that happened, and no one can ever tell me otherwise. I don't have any proof, but to me, that's the proof which is enough for me.
Yeah,
to know that there's something there.
It doesn't need proving because you know that's what it was. And people might say, well, you just think that, blah, 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 blah. But the problem is they weren't there at the time it happened, and they didn't experience it like you experienced it. So it's very difficult to try and naysay people.
Yeah, and also these days there are so many videos out there. You can't trust anything but yourself, really. You can watch videos. Sometimes I watch videos and I think, wow, that's amazing. And then I feel a little bit sad and inside because I think, well, I can't really trust that is how it seems to be. And so you can only really trust yourself. You are your own barometer when it comes to things like this.
Adi says, kind of on the back of what you're talking about before, there's a lot of urban explorers that tend to hunt these places down, like empty, derelict places, and investigating it's fab, it's refreshing, too, as it's new. A couple of comments, just catch one here. Sarah says, think they feed off fear. Fear is a powerful energy, and kind of in their places, just naturally that kind of heightened sense of anxiety and stuff like that's always going to be heightened. Maybe they can draw on that. And Geraint, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining us.
Geraint. Sorry, one of my gay. He's rolling on. It's a lovely Welsh name. Sorry, nice. I just said it because I've got a really good friend.
Stand corrected by the teacher, Michaela.
A lady who has a Welsh friend. He'll probably put me down now and go, no, you don't pronounce it like that.
I actually have Welsh friends. I don't know if you know that.
I have one.
It says, I find grief tends to bring a unique energy, not always good, not always bad. You find investigators that are more successful have a tendency to allow their energy or emotions to manifest. My personal experiences seem to corroborate this. Yeah. It kind of goes back to what we were saying about when you asked before, kind of what type of energy. Fear energy, grief, emotional energy.
Yeah.
Is that what the board drawn to?
Elation, fear, amusement. Yeah, like admittedly they could all boil down to the same energy, but who knows?
Very well pronounced.
Hey, okay. There you go.
I shall tell my friend.
Sarah mentions female energy. Looks like there might have been studies on female energy attracting activity. Could be, think they have a lot of this where kind of you hear stories or read stories where kind of male ghosts tend to go for like females investigators and stuff. So you see quite a lot of that. So that could be some legs to that.
I think generally speaking, people who tend to be more on the sort of mediumship spiritual side of things tend to be more skewed female to male as well than male as well. But that may be a male ego thing where men just go, no, that's fucking bollocks. Don't want to think about it anymore, right?
Could be. Going back onto the topic, that was a great little digress.
I'm liking this, mate. Let's just answer questions all night, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's working.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to ask Michaela what type of equipment you like using, or what's your go-to, let's say.
Always the voice recorder. Always. I think I don't know if I'm getting more cynical as I'm doing this more, but it's the only thing that I really trust. I mean, I've got a REM pod. I haven't got lots of equipment because I'm not very well off, and I can't afford to spend £200 or £300 on stuff. So I have a big wanting list and a small have list. But I've got an EMF meter, one that's used for workmen, and I've never got that to do anything. The K2 I've got to work okay. I've got an SB7. I've used all sorts of bits and bobs, but the only thing that I've really got good results on is my Sony voice recorder. And there's just something really when the K2 goes off, it doesn't like fill my heart with joy. It's just like, oh, the light's gone off. And when the REM pod goes off, the same thing. And even if we're sort of getting interactions, the only thing that makes my heart sing with joy and go, oh, that really is paranormal, because there was no one talking and yet it's caught a voice on there, is the voice recorder.
I agree. Like, I think and I'm a huge advocate for all the tech and all the equipment, but I think that K2s, REM pods, Alice boxes, spirit boxes should only ever be considered a capture of activity when they sort of triangulate something else. Like a K2 going off by itself it's not an indicator that something paranormal's happened. Now, a K2 going off when you hear a massive bang against the wall, maybe there's something in that. But yeah, like equipment should be used in conjunction with other things going on to try and triangulate evidence, as our friend D. Moss loves to say. Well, your friend.
Well, I have to say that Mr. Moss and I do disagree on certain pieces of equipment, but that's okay. Because people have different opinions.
Because he's wrong.
He's never wrong. This is the whole problem.
Joke.
And it certainly doesn't listen to my opinion. Anyway, so I agree with him. Cat balls, just stamp on them or give them.
Fucking chuck them away.
Yeah. A lot of stuff. I'm not really into SLS either. I don't know. There's just something that feels too easy about it.
It's
Ouija boards I used to be massively into, and if there's time later, I'll just give you a little dip into when I was at college in Hull. We had several months of Ouija boards, and that was incredible. I've never been able to replicate anything like it since, ever. So I don't know. I'm up and down with that because it's not measurable. It could be the idiomotor effect. It could be us doing it. My jury's out. My jury was well in, and now it's kind of filtered out again with things like that. But there are so many things that I feel we can't trust the data of or the use of. And it does. I don't like the fact that I'm becoming more cynical as I get older.
I think that's a good thing in a sense, though, because it means you won't just fall for anything that's shown to you and believe it's paranormal. I see some of the stuff that gets put out, and it makes me really, really depressed to the point that I think, what's the fucking point of me bothering doing this? Because what people want to watch and find entertaining is so far removed from the reality of what paranormal investigating is. I'm just like, oh, fucking hell. Is it worth doing this uphill battle? Going back to what you said about SLS cameras. SLS cameras are complete bullshit, and I'm sorry if I offend you, but They're fucking. It's an Xbox Connect that you're told to keep static and on a tripod rather than fucking wave it around like it's Harry Potter's wand. And yeah, they're designed to try and map human shapes. Hence why it'll pick up a chair or a coat hanger and go, "That's a fucking person there." And when it can't work out the chair's got 4 legs, that's why the legs are always going crazy while it looks like something's sat on the chair. They're bullshit. They've been debunked so many times.
Yeah,
and
once
again, humongously expensive. Sorry, Ash, carry on, mate.
I was going to say, I mean, the price I've seen £400 quoted for someone to build an SLS camera, which is basically connected to a camera, like literally that's all.
Yeah. And what you're actually paying for primarily is the fucking Windows tablet, because an Xbox Connect are now out of production, end of life, and you can pick them up for about £30 or maybe a bit more on eBay. And the software for the whole ghost hunting SLS camera you can download for free. So all you're really paying for is the Windows tablet, which, don't get me wrong, is expensive, and then someone to basically mount it all for you. But it's go on a holiday, don't spend it on a fucking SLS camera.
Just to go a little deep into the SLS, like how it works, because like the Kinect, like say, was used for gaming on the Xbox, where it'd be stationary by your TV, and then you would move, and that it would mirror your movements in the game.
Yeah.
So it's tracking. That's right, tracking movements. So if you're walking around with it, and it sees like a pole, and because you're moving the camera, the Kinect thinks it's moving, and that is the person. So it then gives a human figure because you're moving around. So it's, in its head, it's only trained to recognize that, oh, that's moving, it must be a person. So it'll identify it as a person. And it's like the vague shape of a human. I mean, that's literally all it is.
It's actively looking for human shapes. So anything that looks remotely like a human, it will map. It's like your camera app with the face recognition. Point that at like a Hello magazine or something and watch it go crazy for all the faces in it, because it's still picking up on faces despite the fact they're not 3D or anything, right? That's a really bad example, by the way, and you can chastise me for that. But
I really like the idea of using an old tape recorder. I hadn't thought of that before. I've just literally gone onto eBay now, and I'm kind of looking through the old manual tape recorders, although I don't know. I'm sure you must be able to buy the tapes. I really like that idea. I'm going to try that. Thank you, Gare, and I think it was Sarah that mentioned
Sarah,
yeah. So I'm going to try that. I'll tell you what I did.
A house full of old cassettes. Yeah.
You know what I bought though? Somebody told me that old tube radios are really good, and I've bought this massive one that's in the living room now, much to my husband's chagrin. It's about this big, and it's kind of oak with a big old 1940s dial on it. And what I didn't appreciate was that I couldn't really carry this big thing around with me to these destinations. So it's only ever been to one place. And sadly, we didn't get anything at the time. But I will try it in the future. I like the idea of using these old things and seeing whether you get any results.
I mean, it's as good as anything, right? We don't know. Hello, Patsy. Hope you're well. Just go back to the previous comment.
Is it the Patsy?
It is the Patsy and Patsy. The PlayStation iToy was fucking banging, by the way. Perhaps instead of ghost hunting, you could be like fighting little ninjas on the screen or something, you know?
So has anyone got any other ideas, anybody who's watching, of kind of random pieces of equipment that they've had really good results with, like tape recorders and things like that? Let us know, because I'm always up for buying something weird and old and trying it out.
I hate to say it, and they're mad expensive, and they're often wrong, but the Alice box for us. Like, it's taken a while for it to warm up. And Patsy can attest to this in the comments if she's still actually watching, or if she's just checked in. But it's taken about a year for it to warm up to us. But when it's right, it's right. And it's just like, there is zero fucking possibility. Well, I mean, there's a possibility that it is just a coincidence, but there's slim to no possibility that what comes out of it's coincidence. Like, the amount of times that it said my name, for instance, and it's got, I think, something like 2,000 words in it. So my name coming up semi-consistently on investigations shouldn't be happening. All the time that I put a tarot card in an envelope. Only I knew what the tarot card was. And then later in the investigation, I said, "Can you tell me what card this is? Can you tell me what card's in this envelope?" And the Atlas box spits out moon, and I lose my fucking mind because the card in the envelope was the moon, and I'm just like, this. It's not possible.
Amazing.
It's not possible. Like, stop. Or like the time we went to Soul
Me too, Emma. I just wrote it on here.
Yeah.
Alice box.
Or the time we went to Soulgrave Manor, and I've got video of it. Patsy's looking around the room, not really interested. We've just got down into the basement. She switched the Alice box on. She's not really paying attention. And Found and Pound come through at the same time. And she looks and go, "What the fuck did I just say?" Because she'd literally just put her hand on a pound coin in her pocket and found a pound. And it's just like, what the fuck?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Mental.
It would be quite good if it came up with my name, because my name would definitely not be in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or
AD...
Michaela.
Michael with an A on.
Michael and Michael A. Yeah.
It is. There's a very nice lady who's a historian who's going to be a guest on my show soon. Plug. Penny Morgan. Penny Morgan Griffiths, and she calls me Michaela with an A, because the first time I met her at the Festival of the Unexplained last year, she was like, "What? Oh, what's your name?" And I went, Michaela, Michael with an A on. So now she just calls me Michael with an A.
Brilliant.
AD has a laser grid. I've seen them. I've never used one.
Yeah,
because that's supposed to capture things walking through it, I guess.
Yeah, like any shadows that move or anything. Yeah, we had one. And used it and never caught anything on it really either.
Really interesting one from Sarah. Has been told to use her midwifery equipment and use my Sonicade. So might try that.
I know this is going to be awkward as fuck. What is a Sonicade?
That's my question.
Is it an ultrasound wand? Maybe it could be something to do with that when you look at the
baby heartbeat monitors. Yeah, maybe with ultrasound gel. You can get one for £26. Apparently, you might have to.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like a kind of like a cheap one. Yeah.
Sonic A works on ultrasound. Listen to
and again, there's evidence to support that using ultrasound and infrasound can sometimes induce paranormal activity. Like Demos is a huge fan. He's huge into that, right? And
what's it called? Is Intravox? Is it the one
Intravox? I think, yeah.
Throws the
And don't get me wrong, like there are certain frequencies of sound that start to mess with you. Like there's one that can vibrate your eyeballs and make you start thinking you're having hallucinations and stuff. So there is that element of it. But there's a lot of belief that ultrasound and infrasound can affect things, especially as they're outside of the human range of hearing.
Yeah, well, that's the explanation for why when a lion roars, it terrifies you, isn't it? Because they use infrasound. And there's been a lot of research in the area of Bigfoot to show that the reason that when people see big hairy creatures, as if that isn't scary enough, the reason that they feel absolutely terrified is because of the infrasound. And sometimes infrasound by itself can give you a feeling of dread and terror.
It can do all manner of weird things to you, like the brown noise, for instance, making you poo yourself. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but there's a lot of stuff on the infrasound spectrum that can do odd things to you.
Joe says, "Will a ghost consent to being slathered with gel?"
They're big into ectoplasm, so why not?
And vibrating balls sound entertaining. Not sure where this chat's going.
Yeah. I mean, we have mentioned paranormal sex toys before on the round table, I think. So I'm sure there's a market for it. Anyway, moving on.
So many comments. Geraint, I think that was how you corrected me. Using the EMF with a number display and get a standard electromagnetic reading for the immediate environment, and then I can discount any minor spikes under 50.
Yeah, like it's one of those ideals whenever you go on an investigation to take baseline readings unfortunately, it's not always the reality, especially when you go on a public investigation, because all they want to do is get you pushing a table around the room as quickly as possible.
Sarah's got the Phoneticon. Generates words based on magnetic changes in the surrounding area. The other day, we've got some really interesting results, and we may get told more about that if she gets permission to talk. Yeah, the EMF, when we did the episode with Demos, the UFO investigation episode, it was coming to YouTube in the next couple of weeks, I think. It's available on the Paranormal Investigator VHX anyway. We had the thingy reader, and it was all quiet. And we were in the middle of doing the guided meditation for the kind of CE5 UFO part of the episode, and it went mental. Went absolutely mental for about 30 seconds. There's no explanation for it. It just went absolutely mental, and then went back and just carried on as normal. It's just weird. Sometimes getting like these spikes for no reason. You say I can't really say it's paranormal, but then I don't know. Maybe it's fair that we know how they work, but.
And did you see anything at the time? Did anything kind of correlate with it?
We had a couple of things, not at the exact same time, but we had a couple of weird lights in the woods and in the sky. And I saw like a shadow or something white running behind one of the people that are there with us, like running like across a path. But apart from that, not really. It was just we had a few weird things happen around that time when we were sat like so. It's like it was middle of the night in Delamere Forest, just 4 of us meditating up to the sky. First time I'd done CE5. I mean, some weird stuff happening. And then that was just going off. She went, meditating. And she trying to like obviously forget everything, clear your mind, just concentrate on the meditation, being guided by the meditation, and basically sending your thoughts out to space, basically, and saying, "We're here. Come find us. Say hello to us." Basically, is what you're doing. And this just going after loud next, obviously distracts you from the meditation. But then you think, why the fuck's that going off that much? Even Danny was like, well, "This is crazy. Like, why is this going off that
Brilliant.
much?"
I was going to say, Patsy had a comment about sonic weapons, similar, like akin to what you were saying, Michaela, about the infrasound of a lion's roar. American embassies quite often are supposed to create feelings of anxiety and depression. So definitely something, noise being the root cause of experience. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Pats. The American government, I believe, and possibly police are researching into sound-based weapons to have that exact effect on people. In a number of poltergeist cases, sound is believed to be a massive thing in terms of making people feel depressed and making people feel anxious around things, in terms of as well as making things levitate via sound waves. So yeah, there definitely could be something in infrasound, ultrasound being a contributing factor to paranormal activity.
It's interesting. Not something I've really seen or heard of before either.
No, it's devices that pump out infra or ultrasound, generally speaking, are once again humongously expensive. And I think it's one of those things that maybe it's a bit too real, rather than a K2 meter that could go off due to natural EMF fluctuations. Do you know what I mean? Maybe they're a bit too accurate that people don't like them.
No, fair enough. Checking, not missed any comments.
So we've got any more questionings?
They're coming thick and fast.
Nice
comment from Gary. There's something about using a machine to capture a very human experience. True. Sometimes I feel like we talked before about just doing an investigation where you don't take anything with you. Just take yourself and just sit in a room, whatever. Like you say, just chatting amongst yourself, not really doing anything, and just seeing what happens, and just remove yourself from the kind of scientific side of it and just experience it.
It would be such a great experience. The only issue I have with that is when you spend we'd spend a lot of money to rent somewhere out, and then you're just going to sit there having a chat with people all night. You know what I mean? Spend a load of money to rent 30 years drive and go in. All right, and I think someone actually did this. Let's have a game of Monopoly all night or something. You know, I'm sure I've heard a story about a group doing that, and they just sort of didn't acknowledge anything weird that happened around them and claimed they had some good activity.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I think you forget as well. You forget if it's really exciting and all sorts of things are happening. It's better to just experience it rather than going, am I really going to sit and, replay every little noise that I heard, several times? Or will I go through it once and go, oh, yeah, there was a noise there. But while you're busy switching on your equipment and pointing your camera here and there, you can miss things that are happening. So sometimes it is just really good to sit there and think, gosh, I'm really experiencing this thing that there's no explanation for.
And it's almost as if, in some instances, when I put the camera away, more stuff happens. Now, that's because I'm actually concentrating on things happening rather than concentrating on a tiny screen that I'm trying to film everything with. But yeah, you put the camera away and you're suddenly very much more aware of things that are happening around you.
Well, I suppose we're so used to, with our mobile phones these days, we're so used to experiencing the world through a camera or a phone. And sometimes we just need to put them aside and experience it for ourselves and go, I'm just taking it all in.
Yeah.
It's like at gigs and stuff, like I'll take 1 or 2 pictures, maybe a quick video, that be it, like just enjoy the moment. But then you have people who spend the whole hour and a half stood there filming. It's like the person's there. You don't like.
Yeah, what's the point?
You're looking at the person through a screen. Look at the person that's right in front of you. It's just obviously each to their own. People like to preserve the memories and stuff. It's like that person's right there, like 10 foot away from you, but you're watching them through a screen, like on a tiny screen.
Yeah, just experience it.
I went when I was younger. I went for a massive spate of going to loads of gigs, and I would almost always miss the first 2 or 3 songs because I was there trying to take photos and stuff. Before I know, I was like, "Oh, they play. Oh, what? You're 3 songs in." And it's like, what? What was Pat saying? Sorry.
Sometimes we get more activity when sat around chatting compared to when we're actively trying to get activity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we covered that as well. Go on to the Dot message real quick. Dot used to be a member of Everglow Investigations, the investigation company that I go with all the time. Great investigator. It's good to see you, Dot. I know she's taken a step back from investigating and stuff, but it's good to see her. More important thing is trusting your own feelings. Sometimes we don't always say how we feel and wait for the gadgets to show things. Yeah, there's been plenty of times where I've felt something and not said it. And then later a gadget said something and it makes me look like a lying motherfucker when I go, I was thinking that actually.
Yeah. Yes, I felt that too.
Yeah, exactly. And like me and Dot have had some great experiences where she was part of the Everglow team and she'd already been at the investigation and done a walk around. I'd show up with all my shit and we'd do a walk around, and then Dot would come up to me afterwards and be like, did you feel anything? Did you get any feelings anywhere? And I just sort of look at Dot and go, whereabouts did you feel it? 9 times out of 10 it correlated. And we'd be like, yeah, room upstairs with all like looks like a canteen with all the tables, this, that, never didn't like the feeling in that room. She'd be like, yeah, that's exactly where I felt. Yeah, so Dot's quality. Good to see Dot.
Garrett says the sound thing makes me wonder about Skinwalker rants. Experiences some have had there. By the way, Skinwalker would be a hell of a place to go, if a little terrifying.
I'd love to go.
It would be mental, but the chance of getting in there is a pipe dream, unfortunately, isn't it?
And to be fair, that kind of brings us on too. That's a nice segue into, so obviously Skinwalker Ranch has lots of different things going on. Some say it's like there've been portals been seen to maybe other dimensions or whatever, UFOs, creatures, skinwalkers, obviously, monsters, all types of things happening. There are other areas that are similar where they have lots of different things going on around it or stuff like that. And like a place in the UK, like up on the east coast, the North Yorkshire way, seems to have a lot of weird things going on. Wolfmen, stuff like that. And you've got places like Cannock Chase, where I've been investigating before. I don't know about you guys, but that's a place that's had all sorts of like UFO sightings, ghost sightings, black-eyed children, pigmen, Bigfoot, Wolfman, ghosts of soldiers. All these different things being seen in which what is 26 square miles, the chase. It's got war cemeteries there. It's got a place called Castle Ring, which is where we had probably our best kind of results, which is an Iron Age kind of fort hill.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just an incredible place to investigate the experiences we've had. Have you been there, Michaela, before?
I have. And I'll tell you what, they were all having a night off when I went. They literally all had a night off. We walked around Castle Ring, Pie Tower, around the woods, the German cemetery, you name it, we went places. A member of our group felt like she got a little girl's voice through on the SB7 at Pie Tower, but diddly squat. And we were doing it for 8 hours. We literally did it all night and then camped at Cannock Chase. And sweet FA. Except for the fact I felt like I was being followed at one point, and in my head I felt like it was a big cat, but that was purely my imagination. But I did feel like something was tracking us, but it could have been a deer, it could have been a fox, it could have been anything. But it did spook me out a little bit. But besides that, I just think we went on a very, very quiet night. What happened when you've been there?
Well, the last thing that happened was very similar, where there was 3 of us there. We've been there all day, all night. We've been at Castle Ring, and people were with and myself, I don't get freaked out that often. And we've been there for hours, totally fine. And then the atmosphere just changed, and we all said to each other, we all looked at each other and just went, "I think we need to go." So literally packed our stuff up, and from Castle Ring, it's probably about a 10-minute walk, 10-15 minutes walk from where we were at Castle Ring, on like a little bit of a hill path, like a drop either side, going around the outside of this big circle area. And the whole time, and it's pitch black. So we had our torches in front of us, just like basically looking at our feet so we didn't walk into anything. And we all had the feeling of something following us. So we literally just like sped walked. Didn't want to run because we probably slipped. We just speed walked just behind each other. When I was at the back, all the time I was like, I feel like I don't want to look behind me. I don't want to look to the side of me, because I think I'm going to see something. There's that fear is just like, we just need to get out of here. It's really, really unnerving. Even getting in the car, I was like, even then, it's like, I don't even want to be in the car, in this car park. I just need to get out of the actual area. It just felt like something had been following us. It's just really weird. Because in how kind of calm it had been, it just changed in a second. All of us felt it. Because it wasn't just like one of us, all 3 of us sort of in the same instant, all looked at each other and went, something's not right. It's just like that change, like the atmosphere has changed. It's just absolutely insane, and I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, I'd really like to go back. Is someone whistling near somebody, or am I just completely?
I heard that as well.
Here?
It was like a sound.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
Let's
and
listen
I couldn't
back to
figure
that
out
then.
where it was coming from.
Patsy, is that you in the living room whistling? I really hope it is.
I'm glad you heard it as well, because I thought
vaguely, and I thought it was. I'll be honest. I thought it was just where Ash was talking, and like he said a word, and it sort of just whistled for his teeth or something. So I didn't pay any mind to it until you went.
It might have been. I didn't hear it. It might have been that.
I've never.
We can listen back to it later anyway.
I've never heard you do it before, Ash. So
I'll say that's something I would usually do. But
no, you're not going through your teeth or whatever, are you?
I can't even whistle.
Oh, of course, Patsy can't whistle, so it can't be her.
Oh no!
Thanks for reminding me of that. I know, freak.
Strange. It might be because I'm in the haunted kitchen.
Maybe.
Have you been to Cannock Chase, Mike?
I haven't. I have not.
We should definitely organise to go there.
We should. We probably won't be able to stay past 4 o'clock in the afternoon because perhaps you'll get freaked out and want to leave by that point. But but yeah, we should definitely organise something.
Nick says with Delaware Forest, where did the investigation with Danny M.
I was going to say, so have you?
I used to enjoy riding my bike through there until I listened to all the things that happen in the forest, which again is some insane stuff. There's werewolf stories. Even a dragon apparently lived there, was seen there in the medieval times. Just absolutely crazy stuff. Sarah's heard loud growls in there. It's mad because it is quite a big place, but not big forest. Like nothing like Cannock Chase or any of the other like North Yorkshire moors, anything like that. But there's still lots of tales of like Bigfoot type creatures and stuff like that, which is really weird. Just random thought from Nick: the trees have been alive. Yeah, it's what they call an ancient forest. The trees have been there for like I don't know, thousands of years. I think some of the trees. Maybe they create some kind of more ancient energy we can't comprehend, and that's what causes lots of experiences in a forest.
I mean, this is this is getting into the idea of nature spirits and things like that, right? Like elementals is probably the wrong word, but like, correct me if I'm wrong on this because I probably massively am. Like the Fae that the Welsh believe in, for instance, I think they're sort of, were they more fairies? I don't know. I'll shut up because I don't know enough about that sort of stuff. But yeah, in terms of like nature spirits, like women of water or spirits of forests and stuff like that. Like I think the Green Man is quite a well thought of one. Yeah,
that's like the British kind of Woodrow's, like they call him the Green Man.
Yeah,
I think we're talking about the same thing. In fact, with carvings of him, like going back to
everywhere.
Yeah,
and in a lot of pubs as well. Well, there's Green Man pubs, is there? Or am I thinking Green King? Yeah. I was going to say there's some weird association with pubs. As a personal story, years ago with my old group, I investigated a place called the Riverside, which isn't that far from me. It's a pub that's ironically on a river, and we weren't having an amazingly active night. And I think at one point we started to change the questioning to, are you a spirit of the river or are you associated with the water running by the pub? And seemingly we started to get more activity going down that line of questioning. So I was like, ooh, we could be onto something here. Unfortunately, the group I was going with weren't the best investigators and then continued to just go, spirit, if that's you, are you a man or a woman? Rather than continue down the line of what we were actually getting.
Yeah.
Which sucked a bit, but...
Well, I mean, if you think about the fact that trees, like Nick says, they've been alive for a long time, and they must exude some sort of energy just by the fact that they're alive. And it is true that when you go into a forest at night time, I find them one of the most creepy places in the world. And why is that? What is that energy? There is, dark is dark. So why are forests scarier than just being sat in a cupboard? You know what I mean? Is it the energy coming from the trees? Is it the fact that they're so big? Is it the fact that you can't see if there's anyone there? It could be any of that or all of it, really.
I do believe, kind of going a bit scientific, kind of more evolution, is that like man used to live in the forest and stuff, and the predators would always be in the forest. So it's kind of that innate fear that we don't have it, but we're still in like our genetic makeup or whatever, that we're afraid of what's in the forest because the predators are in there, we can't see them. I think that's where some of it could come from. That kind of old. That's where the predators would be back millions of years ago when it was like them times, really.
When we when ParaMike first started and we were going out and getting test footage and just seeing testing cameras and things like that, it was during winter and we went to a local wood during, I say night, it was about 6 o'clock, so it was dark, but it wasn't like the middle of the night or anything. And I took Patsy with me, obviously, and I was like, oh, let's go and walk round. Every fucking sound, she was like, what the fuck's that? What the fuck's that? No, I ain't going in there. It's too dark. We didn't at the end because despite how much I tried to force her, she wasn't having any of it. But yeah.
Close your ears, Patsy. Next time, just slip a little Valium into a water bottle, and then she can just have a really nice stoned experience as she's kind of wandering around going, "Hey, what's that?"
Hey, she might be meeting the Fae people if that's the case, you know.
Sarah says trees are connected to the earth directly, as is everything that exists. Profound. That's why many people go there spiritually to ground and connect. Geraint exposure is vulnerability, where people of the forest. So maybe there's a deep connection there. Both kind of the same, similar
Yeah.
kind of themes. Yeah, I think you're supposed to take your shoes and socks off as well, aren't you, to walk barefoot in the forest to actually
Really?
like connect skin to skin, as they call it. Like
No,
actually
sounds
connect.
painful.
I love on the sort of topic of investigating forest. I love it. I've been to Rendlesham, Cannock, Delamere, up in Scotland at the Galloway. Want to get to the North Yorkshire Moors forest up there as well. Just obviously, there's a lot of stuff you have to discount because it's wildlife. It's hard. It's probably harder because you cannot know. There's always going to be weird shit happening, weird noises. But I just like being there, and I don't get creeped out. I only got creeped out a couple of times, but yeah, just get me in the forest. I love it.
Literally, what I was about to say was, do you not have to just discount the entire investigation because of all the natural noises and everything else like that going on?
Yeah, I mean, I told my vendors some story before with the Chihuahua and stuff like that, where just weird stuff that like could just be absolutely normal, but in the context, it was all a bit weird. But yeah, get me in a forest. Quick comment from Nick: when you look at a leaf and the makeup of a leaf and then the palm of your hand, it looks the same way. It blows my mind. Yeah, I mean, the patterns repeat themselves throughout the universe. Absolutely crazy when you sort of dig into that side of stuff where the same mathematical formula repeats itself. All the patterns repeat themselves.
Really ironically, I had almost this exact conversation at work today about the Fibonacci sequence. And like, you're right, the same numbers that are seen repeating themselves through various different things throughout history, that no one can really fathom why that's the case.
Unless we're in a simulation.
Yeah, I think at this point it's a simulation that we're creating. When you start to look at AI and VR and the fact that your phone's listening to you and will show you results on Google or suggest things to you from conversations you've had, I think it's a simulation that we're creating, and we're actually creating a virtual world for ourselves rather than living in the real world as such. And it's only going to keep going, right? Because virtual reality and augmented reality, AI being AI and everything else. Apparently trees and plants and grass, etc. actually makes a screaming noise, but we can't hear. Maybe they vibrate differently. Sometimes I wonder if we can pick up screams on equipment, or are we actually hearing the earth as it is? I would imagine that even if equipment could pick it up, our range of hearing probably still couldn't actually hear it. So unless
That's
it was
a horrible thought, though.
Yeah, unless it was something funky like how an IR light works, that it sort of captures infrared and then shows it to you in something you can see. I'm not sure if that will be possible, and I don't know if that exists.
Dot says, I think the basic principle is we all connect with the elements and we actually tap into the earth, trees, electric water, it's natural energy. We use that to increase our own energy. We're so quick to discard it. I mean, everything's connected. I'll drink some water and then that'll get reused. Someone else will drink it probably a couple of weeks' time.
I don't really know what you're into, mate. Is that really for this podcast?
Do you know what? When I explained that to the children in my class, I love doing that because they're just so horrified when I go, you know that drink of water that you just had? That's dinosaur wee. And they all go, oh, no! And it's just fabulous. And then their little minds, you can see when you sort of explain how it works, their little minds are just like, oh. It's fantastic.
Gary would love to see an investigation, i.e. Pendle Hill in Trellick on the trail of Jack of Kent. Not too sure.
No, I've never heard of Jack of Kent.
I want to go up to a anecdote from Sarah.
It's so big, it's cut it off, Sarah.
I might be able to read the whole thing. Yeah. When the Phoneticon was on charge, go back to the equipment, it was generating so many words, and the Phoneticon never usually goes off that frequently. We noticed it kept beeping and asked for a word that we would all understand. It generated the name of AD's mum. It was the anniversary of her passing that day. Wow. We got a few corresponding words. I asked for it to say blanket, a word that came up on Pendle Hill, and it generated the word blanket on demand of all the words it could generate out of thousands.
Wow. That's incredible.
I mean, first off, kind of sorry to hear that, AD, if she's still around. But yeah, that is mental. That is mental. Like, how could you even work out the probability of that happening, right?
To say a name.
Yeah. And then not even that, just that portion of it, the portion of, can you say blanket? And it says blanket back to you. And I'm pretty sure the Phoneticon isn't one of those ITC devices that is listening to you via some sort of microphone, because I don't even think it has a microphone in it, right? It's only runs off EMF.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It really is. Nick says maybe all of this is the Matrix and the Paranormal just been written into the program to keep us running in circles.
Or maybe it's...
Well, it's keeping me interested.
Maybe it's parallel universes that we that somehow overlap with ours at certain points in time. And that's what ghosts are in it, ourselves in a different universe. Just leave that, yeah. Moving on.
I think, yeah, we could go on for another hour, I think, talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, but being sort of Nick's point, yeah, because we're chasing the paranormal, we're not chasing the Matrix. We're not going to figure a way out, because they put in these things like UFOs and ghosts to keep us. People that are more open-minded are concentrating on them, not finding out the way out the Matrix.
I mean, I think governments do a good enough job of keeping us distracted from what we should really be paying attention to enough anyway, right? Not to make this political, that's the last I will say on that, but...
Nice one. Cheers, Sarah.
Yeah, good to see you, Sarah.
Bye.
See any comments? The thing about the plants screaming and stuff, I have heard or read that plants can feel pain and stuff like that, and the partner used to be vegan, and like it's one of the anti-vegan arguments, like we can't eat trees or plants now because they can feel pain, so what are you going to eat and all stuff like that. But there have been studies into that, like they can feel pain, or let's say like they scream, as a way of putting it.
Yeah.
Comments.
I think we're pretty much up to date. So, is it time to discuss our future endeavors?
Yes, it could be. It could be. Michaela, you've got something very, very soon. Do you want to talk about it? You don't have to. Where you're going.
I'm going to the place that shall not be named.
Mordor.
Yes. And I'm going to Harry Potter World. No, I'm not. I wish I was, but it's so expensive. I'd love to go. I am going to my haunted hotel, which is also Danny Moss's haunted hotel, but I like to adopt it for myself while I'm there. So I'm going there to investigate this week. So I'm very, very excited about that. And then the next thing on my calendar actually is meeting up with you gentlemen. And I'll pass it back over for you two to tell everybody all about that.
I'm going back to my haunted hotel.
And then I'm meeting Mike up at the Stoke Museum, which I'm very excited about.
End of March. Yeah. Me, Michaela, and some other of my paranormal cronies are going up to the Stoke Museum again. Hopefully it's as active as it has been to us before.
Nice. I enjoyed it there. You'll enjoy it there, Michaela. It's good.
It's cool.
I really liked it.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
Mark says, "What's your take on the Miami alien incident?" I'm going to assume this is the Mal thing, and that was just a load of shit. That was.
It was teenagers fighting, and they sent out a calling all calling all cars alert, which is why there was about 60 police officers there, because apparently the teenagers started rioting, and the whole alien thing was just people looking for clout on the internet making shit up.
And I saw that some videos have been put from other incidents and claimed to be from the Miami. But
that one, because they said that actually inside the mall that people saw a portal and creatures coming out of the portal, didn't they? Inside, not even about the shadow alien, that was 15 feet tall following people.
Is that just an eyewitness account?
They were eyewitness accounts, yeah.
Yeah, like I saw an alien when I was walking to work earlier today.
I mean, that's the amount of people that were there. There'd be proper videos.
Yeah, everyone's got a phone nowadays, right? So,
You'd think
yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Yeah, sadly, it'd be a really random place, like Dawn of the Dead /
Stranger Things
UFO film happening. Dawn of the Dead alien version.
Yeah. So yeah, Stoke Museum end of March. Should be good. Not that this will mean a lot to you, Michaela, but I definitely want to try and investigate the upstairs a lot more, because that's where we got the most activity, and I want to be up there and see if it's the same while we're up there.
Yeah. What are you up to, Ash? Besides meeting up with us?
Yeah.
Can't wait for that. Paranormal wise, currently looking at getting some cheap equipment, so I may have a look at one of them spit boxes. I'm working on something for the podcast, which I will talk to you two both about separately, which I've talked about before, not actually sort of told you about.
Top secret.
Top secret. We're meeting up in April at a special place, which we'll talk about near the time. I want to get to either Cannock or Delamere Forest again to do another investigation in the forest. Like I said before, I just want to get more into the paranormal stuff this year. Just because I think there's a lot of unexplored stuff that I want to tap into, and that's obviously UFOs are still the main focus for me. But just do more paranormal stuff when I get any extra weeks in the year to.
I've conquered the UFO world. It's time to take on the paranormal, yeah.
Yeah, I got the biggest website in the UK. That'll do me. That's,
what's that website called, Ash?
UFO Identified. That called UK. It's on the screen right now. Just
fucking hell.
The little plug there. Well, I've actually took down a database at the minute. I don't know if you saw the MUFON database got hacked.
Oh shit!
Basically, obviously that's the biggest database. That's but he's 70 years old. They got hundreds of thousands of sightings on there. And basically, it got hacked, and they were locked out of their own database by this group. I'm not sure. That was only a few days ago, like probably about 4 or 5 days ago. So I think that's still going on. So obviously, we're obviously nothing compared to MUFON. But the fact that they seem to be targeting, I mean, mine's database is the biggest database in the UK. So it's what, just in case. So just took down kind of our database for now, just precaution, just in case. See what happens with this one.
Yeah.
I don't want to be locked out of my website or my database. The point don't know about it in this group. Obviously, MUFON's massive. But yeah, just as a precaution. Nick says, when you're in Chester, it's in the hotel taking a ghost tour. Chester's an amazing city. It's walking the walls and the history and stuff. It's just a really nice city to go to, as well as obviously the hotel. And Delamere Forest isn't far from there either. So yeah, I think that's it. I can't remember. Nothing
think
else
that's
planned.
Yes, yeah.
no.
I was going to quickly tell you about my Ouija board experience, wasn't I? In Hull?
Yes, go for it.
Because I know you're quite interested in Ouija boards, aren't you, Ash?
I don't mind them.
Am I right? You don't mind them.
I don't mind them.
So this,
Oh.
you are. Go on.
Go on. No, go on.
So when I was a student in Hull, and we lived in an old Victorian terraced house, really tall house. There were 7 bedrooms altogether, and in the spirit of landlords in the late 80s and early 90s, some poor old lady had died, and we basically moved in a couple of weeks later. They'd done nothing to the house except for take up the carpets and put down these really, really cheap kind of almost underlay carpets. So all the wardrobes and stuff that were in there were her wardrobes. And I didn't even have a bed in my room. I just had a mattress on the floor. But we thought it was great. We lived there. And we used to come home every night that we went out, which was most nights a week, in the true spirit of being a student, and we would do the Ouija board. Now, I made the Ouija board because I'd been doing it when I was at school in the art cupboard. And so I was the go-to Ouija board maker. And so I just used a big, it was an A1 piece of white card. I drew the Ouija board on it, and we used to use a little glass, a bit like the ones you can get Nutella in now, a little kind of ovalish glass. And we did the Ouija board, and the results were phenomenal, unbelievable. We used to do it. Usually, there was us and this group of lads that we went round with, so there might have been 6 or 7 people on it at a time, and it used to go so fast, this glass, that it was like this, you could hardly keep your fingers on it, and often the glass would just fly off and we'd have to get it back and put it back on again. And we got this one particular spirit through that was that claimed to be in the house, and we could ask her anything. And it got so obsessive that we started to have a secretary. And so one person each night would sit with paper and a pen and write down everything that was asked and everything that was said. And it got a bit unhealthy, really, because we were so obsessed with it. And it got to the point where I think we were sort of taking the mickey out of it, and it wasn't really happy, because we started asking things like, who does Helen fancy? And then it would tell us, and then, what colour knickers has Claire got on? And then it would tell you, and just stuff that you wouldn't be able to say unless you knew. Do you know what I mean? Claire wasn't sat there getting the Ouija board to say that she had red and white spotty knickers on. Do you know what I mean? It was too much. It was too much. It was too accurate. And we had lots and lots of strange goings on. But then it got to the point where it started being really sinister, and it started telling members of the board to kill other members of the board. And we stopped it. We just stopped it. We tore up the board, and we didn't do it again. And since then, I haven't really liked to do it because it really, really freaked me out, actually, that when it got to be really sinister. And things started happening quite a lot in the house. We heard people calling our names. I saw a big kind of ball of light going up the stairs one day. I used to have things falling off the walls in my room, and my stereo used to come on in the middle of the night at full blast and absolutely shit me up. And it got too much. So I have done it since then, but I'm very tentative, and I don't really like doing it on ghost investigations because I've sort of fallen out with it, if you know what I mean. So, and I can't explain what happened in all those months, but it was full on, really full on.
That's crazy.
So you didn't kill anyone?
No, we didn't. Thank goodness.
Not from that session.
But it was really. I can't dispute what we saw, and I'm still in touch with 4 of the people who used to do it, and we all have the same opinion and had the same experience. Sadly, my friend Emma had all the scripts that we'd written down, but after she moved back home, she must have had a big clear out, and she said she hasn't got them anymore. So I'd love to see those now, to see what it said. Absolutely love to see them.
Definitely. Even Jodie. I guess for me, Ouija boards, use them a fair bit. I had some, let's say, interesting stuff, but I don't know. It's, on the fence. I guess, no, Mike, you got your opinions on. Well, not using. You don't like personally.
Probably best not to go into my opinions because it'll piss people off, probably. But yeah, I just don't want to use them. I don't. Yeah, I've seen of every Ouija board. Bearing in mind, I've never touched any, so take this with a pinch of salt. But of every Ouija board session I've seen, there's always been some element of. It could have been the ideomotor effect, or it could have been something that's obvious, or it could have been people on the board asking questions that they know the answers to. Yeah. And whether consciously or not, they could be pushing it. We went to an event and someone came downstairs saying how they'd contacted someone on the board, and it was the most mind-blowing thing they'd had through about a girl who was murdered on the premises, and one of the people on the board was a personal friend of the girl.
Yeah, so I think you really have to. You have to trust people very, very much before it means anything. I don't think you can just do it with random people.
No,
the interesting thing we did was we put washing up liquid on the top of the glass, and it still worked when we were doing that. So whatever was conducting through the glass was still working through the washing up liquid, and there was literally no way that we could. I mean, we could barely keep our fingers on it. But then, as I said, anything that's happened in the last 20 years has made me think, well, I don't know now.
Yeah, and I think if they're ever going to be taken as any form of credibility, there has to be checks and balances in place, and whether that's blindfolding people, or whether that's someone not on the board asking questions, or, as you say, using washing up liquid on your fingers so it's harder to push or whatever. There has to be that added to it to try and make it credible, rather than turn them up and me going, what's my last name, while I'm touching the Ouija board. Then all of a sudden it spells out my last name, and it's like, okay, cool, well, I fully know that, and chances are the majority of people on the Ouija board know about that as well, because they've come with me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Dot says when she was 15, her first board spelled out the name of her sister-in-law who died when she was 5. Nobody knew.
Cool, it's definitely pretty freaky.
NSPS, good evening. Jody says, I think it all depends who does the board with you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Trust.
Yeah, people as your experience, Ash, when you went to Antwerp, the worst thing you can do is jump on a board with a bunch of randomers who you've never met before, because
definitely. Investigation in general, you got to be people you trust, otherwise.
Yeah.
There's far too many there's already a lot of outside variables you've got to consider, and throw in 30 people you don't know. It's just, just not for me to.
Yeah, and we went to Bolsover Castle a while back, and it was a public event, so of course there was a Ouija board there, and a bunch of people started doing it, and they asked for a first name, and it went D, U. And then one of the people on the board went, Dudley. Is your name Dudley? Of course it fucking is, because you just shouted out rather than letting it finish. And then there was a bunch. They told this huge convoluted story about this and the other. At one point, they asked what year that, I think it was like, what year Dudley was born. And then they asked what year he died or something. And then they went, oh, let's ask its age. And just before they asked its age, one of the blokes on the wall went, 38? Oh, yeah. So he'd already done the math and worked it out, has verbalized that. And she said, come on, guys. And admittedly, public event people are there just to push a fucking planchette around and go, oh, spooky. But come on, guys, this is incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Unfortunately, Jodie and NSPS, we're actually about to wrap up.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think that's everything. Check the comments I've missed.
Nick Thompson's asking about the girl, the ghost, the gravestone. Fuck me. It must be time to turn off, guys. I'm losing my motor functions. The girl, the ghost, the gravestone is what Nick's talking about. It is phenomenal.
It's really good, yeah.
And it's great to see the BBC putting money and effort into more of the real paranormal side of things, where it's not just like someone turns up, gets told a ghost story, and they go, fucking hell. The woman actually investigates it and starts looking through historical documents about it and everything else.
Yeah, yes, Nick, that bit was a bit dodgy. I did think that was the only bit that made me go, But they were a bit dodgy, those people, weren't they? I don't think they were my least favourite bit of the programme.
I'll bite my tongue, Michaela. And that's probably definitely the case, Dot. I mean, it's similar to any equipment, right?
Final question then. From Joe. I think I said that differently every time I've said it. I often see interactions on the board to be predominantly nefarious or sinister. What do you guys think? I mean, Michaela's story definitely went sinister. Proper scary movie. Scary movie, horror movie type story coming out of that one.
Yeah.
That kind of continued. That'd have been interesting. About you, Mike?
I think, and this is going to sound very TikTok and very woo, I think the intent is a huge part of it. If you go into using a board intending to be open and that you will experience something that's light and nice, that will probably happen. If you go in intending that it's going to be nefarious and sinister, that's probably going to be the case. Again, another one of my anecdotal stories about when I went on a ghost hunt. There was a team there from Essex, and they were, we're going to use a Ouija board. We always seem to get sinister stuff whenever we go investigating. And because they expected that, lo and behold, that's what happened. Like, the board started spelling out Satan or something like that. And I was just like, okay, here we go. Like, I think they'd watched one too many horror movies.
Yeah, I think that's where it comes from. It's like it's the whole kind of thing around it of it being a demons and dark and stuff because of the movies. Kind of people go in with that mindset, and then that maybe creates them results because it's in their mind that it's going to be scary, or it's going to be a demon that's coming through, or can I make sure you close the board, or it's going to be out in the world and not trapped in the board, that type of stuff. And it's just
Can I just mention something? And it's made me chuckle all week. And I keep having to tell myself not to think about it because otherwise something bad might happen. But I've been watching on YouTube some American, quite famous American paranormal investigators. And there's two sets of people that have been doing investigations at the Conjuring House. And I don't know if this was just those people. It makes me laugh so much. When they were talking about dark spirits and the devil and all that sort of thing that they were worried about coming through in the Conjuring House, they talked about someone called Beelzebub. And they kept going on about Beelzebub and Beelzebub this, and what if Beelzebub comes through? And I'm like, what the fuck is this Beelzebub? Beelzebub? And it turned out they were talking about Beelzebub. But they call him Beelzebub. And I don't know if that's all American. So please tell me if I'm wrong. But I was like, what the fuck? Beelzebub? You make it sound like something like Beetlejuice. and honestly, I've been laughing about it all week. And then I actually thought, well, with really dark things like that, you're not meant to think about them a lot, are you? Because it's meant to draw things closer to you. And I'm like, shut up with the Beelzebub. Shut up with the Beelzebub. Still thinking about it. And then it just keeps making me laugh. And I'm like, I don't want anything to do with anything dark. I just can't get over Beelzebub.
That's how they get you, Michaela. You've been sold the timeshare now. You're fully in. Right.
Yep, nice one. Thanks everyone in the chat, or the comments, questions, chatting with each other in the chat. I've seen quite a lot of. So that's awesome. We'll probably do this again sometime soon. It's been great fun. Cheers, Michaela. Paranormal or What podcast. Make sure you check that out wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you search for ParaMike on YouTube. That's Mike, and I've been Ash Ellis for Pursuit the Paranormal podcast. Hope you all have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.
See you all later.
See you soon. It takes a minute to end. I don't know if it's still live or not at this point.
It's